what can you tell people about 742?
Yeah, we got started about 2 years ago. We bought this property, and it previously, in a previous life, was Bayer Pharmaceuticals administrative office and secretary pool 40, 50 years ago. And it was sold to a guy who started a bookstore here called the Book Knack. And people, that are from Rock Hill are very familiar with the Book Knack. It is no more. He passed away a couple years ago, and we purchased the building and took it back to its roots as an office building. But when we were doing it, we looked around and we saw the co-working movement had started to get legs in some ways, and in other ways it started to fall apart. And big companies like WeWorks, most people are familiar with, they have their strategy was to go in. They don't own the building. They will go in and rent a floor at a large building uptown, and they might rent that space at $20 a foot. Then they release it to people for $100 a square foot or whatever their spread is. So they make a really nice spread with very little capital up front. But as soon as you have a drop in occupancy, like we saw last year during COVID, they get wiped out because if they're at 50% occupancy, they can't afford their own rent. So our model is different. We purchased the building, we own it, and the owners are all long-term commercial real estate investors. There's 3 of us, and our goal is to do multiple, not really adaptive reuse projects, but kind of find buildings that could be office space or maybe had been in a prior life and kind of bring them back, but bring the community aspect that comes with co-working and kind of layer that over just being a regular rental company, right? It's a little more interesting. It's a little more fun to come to work every day. And what we found is companies, we got an HVAC company, for instance, and we also have a mortgage guy who does mortgages for new homes. And those guys can share 100% of their client list. They can work together to help each other be better businesses. And so as a community, we're a little bit more geared towards that type of relationship where we can help everyone kind of grow their business together. And that kind of segues into the restaurant front. When we first started a year ago, COVID broke out just a week or two after we opened our doors, and so it slowed everything down. And we were trying to find ways where we could build that community aspect, and so we started inviting the food trucks to come. We don't make any money on that event, except people come in and rent offices. Some it definitely benefits us. But our main goal is to just kind of build community, get in touch with people, and I just discovered that historically I've always I eat food. I don't really prepare food. I've never been in that business, but you look around and these food trucks, they have some crazy regulations, and one of the things, they have to have a physical location where they get inspected. And so most of these food trucks that you see here on Thursday nights, a lot of them have a commissary is what they call it. It's a church kitchen down the street. They pay several $100s a month to use the address. Even if they don't cook food there, DHEC comes there to the church and inspects their kitchen, and it's a little bizarre. And especially given they pay so much money for that service. And so that kind of brought me more towards looking at maybe the next project might be food related. But right now we're just building out the community at 742 North. It's office space. And if you come in and rent an office, our lowest office that we currently have available, the entry point is $400. It's about a 75 square foot office, and it includes everything. So there's no deposit. It just gets billed every month on your credit card. You can cancel 30 days into it. It doesn't matter. Or you can stay here 5 years. We'd love to have you. But everything's included. So if you have a podcast that you do, you just have to schedule time in the podcast studio. If you have a conference, you need to set up tables for 20 people. We have space for that. And again, you just have to schedule it and play nice and be a good neighbor. And, there's no additional charge. So that's our story.